we can thank Nukreationz. So we want to thank you for your continuous patronage and for always being there for us. We want to tell you that as a result of your relationship with us, it's been a year of profitable relationship and profitable value as well. So thank you so much. And if you want to ask us what our New Year resolution is, the only reason we have is to actually serve you better. And we hope that we will continue to cheer to better years ahead and better businesses. Thank you so much.
Round of applause in the state and all that. I just was, these Igbo boys that will drive Oga from the city to the east. Then Oga will not say, okay, take the car back to Lagos. You understand? This guy did not go back to Lagos. The guy brought the car to his village. In his village, all the boys thought this guy has blown. The guy don't paint the whole village red. So, village champions now to go there far, to go there far. The only answer he was giving them, come to Lagos, you go blow. This is a year plus now. 6 boys came to Lagos. They've not lighted their matches, sir. They've not. So all our Igbo brothers here, please, help our generation that are coming up, please. Sorry, Doctor.
Okay, so we'll call on Mr. Edu of Kinetic Associates to come and appreciate his customers. We know you've already done that.
He has done that, man.
So please, give it shorter.
Again, my wife is also here. Please, a round of applause. It's not easy to bring my wife out. She's not like me. I think I'm a talkative. My wife is an introvert. But when I get to, I do my talking outside, right? Because of trainings and speaking and traveling. But when I get inside, I want to shut down and think and read up and just distress on Instagram. Then my wife wants to talk. Like, no, baby, I should be the one talking. So inside she talk, but outside she does not talk. Thank you. So I want to do this very specially. So what we did was that because we are still a startup, we partnered with a big brand, Nukreationz. We jumped into this opportunity to recognize and celebrate some of our friends and partners and colleagues and business people. So on first on the list, I will just call quickly. Kinetic is our oldest brand. It's over 10 years old. Plus Innovation Hub was 1 year this December, since we started in January. So but this is our main brand that was going on. And we're using that to do a lot of major projects. So let me just get on the list. For Jose, for Green Ace, they're into travel destination. If you want to travel around the world without visa, I say go and meet them. We have the best locations for you. Please especially welcome Mr. Jose. Come and present. My colleagues are also here. So don't forget that we have 2 customers. My main customers as the team lead are my colleagues. They are my internal customers. If I treat them well, I feel they will treat our colleagues too. That's thank you. Okay? And thank you. Thank you so very much. Then we also have someone that is very dear to us. It's not lady, anyone will pick this. Madam Laura Ede from Ish Tolerant Foundation. Please a round of applause for her. They do a lot of training, skill acquisition, SME for free. They pay us, but the receivers of the training is free. So we get a lot of SME, entrepreneurship, startup training. Laura, thank you so much. I love to Neha and the team major projects, travels around the country. Please help me especially welcome Dr. Mrs. Raleigh Atole today. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Private jet, yes. Innovation Group Hub that gave back to Plus Innovation Hub, that gave back to several other hubs. Please a round of applause for Mr. Daniel Chinanjoli. Please, for making people like Saturdays and wait, please just Google Daniel Chinanjoli. Please, as you leave here, you guys have an idea what is happening here.
My wife likes to run away.
Yeah, like my wife too. Thank you, sir. On behalf of all of us of Kinetic for Plus Innovation Hub, we love you, we appreciate you. I love to everybody in Aba. This man has practically taken all over the southeast. Anything you want to do in technology, is the go-to person. Thank you very much. couldn't make it, and SCTL, Mr. Tony is still on his way. Once again, thank you for their Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Mr. Edward.
So anything you want that for the next 12 days. So if you need business cards, now is the time. If you need flyers, now is the time. If you need banners, now is the time. Prepare for January, prepare for February, prepare for 2020, now is the time. You get 10% off. So after 12 days, everything goes back to the normal price. So I want to appreciate our customers that have been patronizing us, over the years, and keeping us in the loop and making us to grow from strength to strength. I'm going to bring our MD, CEO, Mr. Tosi Shofo.
Wow. Thank you to everyone. It's not easy to be here, actually. The truth is that the first set of customers I want to appreciate are my team. They made this happen. The truth is, when we started EES, started, the first event we did was on August. Mr. Edward was there, Mr. Kunle Shoyen was there to take the session rather. You know what? They had a fantastic session and I was not even in the country. I got a call outside the country and said, God, what happened? Somebody had to visit our office to say, I want to meet your MD. They organized a fantastic event without me being there. That is the power of collaboration. And collaboration is the future. And that is what we have brought to you today, the ecosystem. I think everybody in this room needs to be part of this system. You cannot afford to leave this place without being part of that system. Because that is the future. And we have brought the future to you. So thank you. Please let me say thank you to my team. Let me appreciate my team members. Because without my team members, I can't do anything. So they made it happen. I can't start mentioning names, there are too many. But they don't sleep. These guys are to work by 11 o'clock. As I'm talking to you, some people are in the office working. Some things that will be used tonight, some of them are working on it. I can tell you. I can get a call now, go say we need something to be done, and in my office, we don't say no. We don't say no. That's why my wife is always saying, the job they call you for is the job that will kill you. No. So please let me appreciate my wife also, Dr. Chopi. She's there. Dr. Chopi, she's there. She has, so she's been very supportive. Without her, I can't be here too. So then we have a lot of clients being represented here. Deloitte is represented here. Thank you. The one of the Bridge International is represented here. Citiheight is represented here. Nukreationz is represented here. Microscape is represented here. We have Kinetic Energy is represented here. We have so many, Corridors is represented here. We have Dement is represented here. All of these people, they are clients. Sales Ruby is represented here. And you know what? They are all our clients and they all collaborated with us to make this happen. That is the power of synergy. Somebody said hallelujah. So thank you so much for making this a reality, sincerely. I appreciate everyone. You can be sure your gift will be delivered to your offices. It's too small, it's too big to come here actually. You understand? So we'll deliver them to you and you get them a good time. Thank you once again. I believe you're having a good time. Thank you so much for coming. We appreciate you. I forgot to mention Alpha Mid is powerfully represented here. Thank you so much. And there are a lot I know I've not mentioned actually. Thank you. That tells you we have a lot of people. There is even somebody here that was referred to us by Kinetic Energy. She was here, I didn't even know. She came from, but let me appreciate that woman once again. What's her name? She's sitting out here. We did a job for them, Mrs. Raleigh. You know, I just met her today. I remember we did a job for her, and we had an issue. I called her on phone, I'm sorry, and she was so happy. Even though we had an issue. But she came here, she said she's learned so much from us today. So thank you so much, man, for coming all the way. We appreciate you. So that's the power of collaboration. So we need you to join hands with us to make the Africa Fortune 500 happen. Because that is where they are going. And I believe everybody in this room is going to be part of it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Please a one round of applause for the MD. This second one decided that the first one did not suck. This boy stays on breast milk for 3 hours. Before I came here, I left the house at 3:30. As at 2:15, he started. He started at about 2:15. This boy is so big that he's not sleeping, but he snores by just looking at you. This boy is he's just 3 months and 3 weeks. His first, that's his elder brother's clothes that he's wearing for a year and 8 months. They fit and well. We've changed diaper from normal. He doesn't wear his normal size. He's wearing like ×2. So, sir, you see why you need to be my father, sir. This collaboration must work, whether you like them or not. Before you come here and collaborate with you, if you not collaborate with me. So please put your hands together for yourself. Doctor, I need to collaborate. I'm an MC. Yeah, that's what I do. I make people laugh. See how they laugh. Who MC want collaborate for this night? Now everybody will sit there to pay. Event planner, lawyer. You never still give us how to come out and agree to. So they sign that one, I mean. Alright, no problem, let's continue, please.
Okay, so in the spirit of collaboration, we're going to pick up Mr. Ayon Kilmer for the next session. This is the 2020 Opportunities Forecast. Please, you need to listen to this one. A warm round of applause for him, please.
Thank you for this opportunity. First of all, in a few days' time, we are going into 2020. The interesting thing there is that 2020 is the beginning of another decade. And usually, you are expected... No, let me come from this angle. Now, a lot of us say the country is bad, everything is going wrong, everything is going terrible. Some of us are making plans to go to Canada, some are going to Ghana, and some are going to Benin Republic, as long as it's not Nigeria. Every other one goes. But the interesting thing is, when we list the 10 richest, should I say 10 richest people or richest company in the world, it was in the time of downturn that they picked up. The best person I have in reference is Carlos Slim. Mexico was an economy that the situation was worse than we have today in Nigeria. In fact, Nigeria is heaven compared to what they were then. But while every other person was running away, this guy decided to stay back. And he invested in the country. And then somewhere down the line, the country started picking up. And as it was picking up, his income too was picking up. And somewhere along the line, it got to a point where, he became the world's richest man, if I remember well. And because Mexico's economy had grown to that level. So, and the theory is that when there's a downturn, it's time for you to start investing or doing something about it. And there was a story I heard then from Dangote. Everybody was talking, he didn't say anything. Finally, they said, "Oga, say your own now." He said, "No, there's nothing to say." The lesson he learned was that when the government passes a policy, you don't look at the bad side. You look at the opportunity that lies in it. Then you now look for how to take the best of it. So that's why we can never see him outside complaining. Because for him, for every policy, there's an opportunity. And he feels that is why he is where he is today. And if you follow his story, that's just it. It was all about opportunities and being there at the right time. Just like his refinery. It's an opportunity he's taking. And I hope we know it's not about the oil refinery actually. It's about the fertilizer plant. So, we are going into 2020. What's our plan? Now, at the turn of every decade too, we have new millionaires that are coming up. I hope they are here today with us. And then, disruptions, before now, we will say also at the turn of every decade there will be a disruption. That was when, like in 2000, they brought in, that was when Google came in. 2010, I think, there were always new companies coming up, but now it's a normal everyday thing. So what is your preparation as a business for the next disruption? So, but before we move forward, let's always start from where we are coming. In 2019, what has happened so far? We are still in 2019 anyway, although some of us are already in 2020. Well, number one, we grew further from recession. The economy moved from about 1.4 to 1.6 in 2017 to 2% growth so far in 2019. And of course, we have elections. At the beginning of the year, everything was at standstill. Everybody was waiting to know whether Nigeria will still remain as at May 2019. Thank God we are here. Nobody is holding their shoes in case you need to run or looking out the window. So that passed. Then, of course, history was made. For so many years, we have not passed our budget earlier than March. Our budget earlier than March, April, May, I think June recently. But this year, the budget for 2020 has been passed. So, what are you doing about the opportunities that exist in that budget? So far, looking now at that 2020 budget, let's just do a quick review. I'll rush it a bit because my time is short. The 2020 budget compared to the 2019 budget. This is not the one signed by Buhari, but this is the one he presented in October. Okay? So, but the difference is only about 300 billion or so. Now, for the non-debt expenditure, that's the recurrent expenditure, for 2020 it was 4.8, it is going to be 4.8 billion, while for 2019 it was 4.08. So there's a slight increase of about 20%. The same thing for his debt service or sinking fund, it moved by 23%. The same thing, capital expenditure grew by a slight 2%. Initially, for 2019, the budget was 2.9 trillion, of which only about 1.4 trillion of that has been expended so far this year, which is a good number considering when the budget was actually passed for 2019. Then the one budgeted for 2014 and 2020 is 2.14 trillion. We expect this to now be expended 100%. Being that the budget takes effect from January 1st. Then for statutory transfers, that's between the MDAs or between the departments, it moves slightly by 12% next time. And looking at it, government's projected revenue for 2019 was 3.69. We know where that is. But for 2020, government has decided to be conservative at that and looking at oil revenue of 2.26 trillion. From 3.36 trillion of this year. Then for non-oil revenue, it has grown, which is a positive a positive index, of which 2019 budget for non-oil revenue was 1.35 trillion, but it has increased by 30% now to 1.8 trillion. And according to CBN, we are expected to make even more than that based on this projection. Now then, independent income also has grown from is expected to grow, from 1.9 trillion to 3.7 trillion. And the budget itself, proposed for 2020 is 10.6 trillion. 10.3 here. Then for 2019 was 8.9 trillion. Then expected revenue for 2020 is 8.15 trillion, meaning that we have a deficit of 2.18 trillion, which will be funded by borrowing, both local and foreign. But majority of the borrowing is going to be local, while a portion, I think about 750 billion will be from external, that's foreign borrowing. Now, what are the key assumptions for the 2020 budget? Government is saying that crude oil will be at $57 a barrel, which is down from $60. Then government is also saying that crude oil is expected to be at 2.18 million barrels per day. Although this is dicey because presently we haven't even, I think this year's target was 2 million barrels. Well, the highest we've done so far is about 1.9 million barrels per day. And the scenario causing that reduction is not expected to change in 2020. But you know, our government has been very creative in coming up with new policies and new directions. So we hope they have something up their sleeves that will get us to this 2.18 million barrels per day. Then also they are assuming that exchange rate is at 305. I won't talk much on this because we know presently we have about 3 exchange rates. The government is saying the one they are working with presently is 305 naira to $1. Then we expect it to remain stable at that anyway for the whole of 2020. Even the parallel market, which has been like that, the highest they moved was from 360 to about 362. Then the lowest is about 359. But in between it has been stable. The same thing with the 305. Then inflation, government is expecting it to stay at 10.8 throughout 2020. Presently now is about 11%. And it is projected to rise to 13%. But according to CBN, they expect to drop from the second quarter of next year. We hope that will happen, and according to CBN, based on what they plan, what they plan to roll out in 2020. Part of which they've already started in 2019, which includes the increase of the loan deposit ratio from to the current 60%, which they plan to increase to 70%. And of course, the availability of cash in the system would also be there. Then the GDP is expected to grow. Currently this year, GDP was at about 2%, but they expect it to grow to about 2.93% next year. And those are the assumptions that government is basing the 2020 budget on. And what are the key areas that the budget is looking at? The budget is saying that majority of the spending will be on works and housing. That's about 262 billion. That's infrastructure. The government main focus is on infrastructure. Then next is defense, increase in security. Boko Haram activities has reduced generally, and we hope it remains like that throughout 2020. Then next in line is power at 127 billion. And there's transportation at 123, and finally, government is focusing on agriculture at 83 billion. Agriculture seems lower here, but there will be more money coming to agriculture. Reason is because government is deciding to reduce their investment because of the foreign investment they are encouraging to come into agriculture. So at the end of the day, there will be more money coming to this sector than even all the others. Although yes, for works and housing, government is saying they are going to introduce tax incentives for those that decide to go into infrastructure to support government. That's private companies and private individuals. Now, what is their focus generally based on the budget? They are saying that they are going to strengthen the macroeconomic environment. They are going to improve investment in critical infrastructure. They are going to improve human capital development. They are going to incentivize, sorry, it's not my language, private sector participation. And then they are going to increase social investment programs. Also, they will increase the volume of support for SMEs, and they would also reform the domestic tax laws, which I think they are about to pass the finance laws. They are not yet done with it. Then they will increase government revenue sources, which are the ones we're already hearing. I know from January the VAT on online business come into effect, where as long as you have an online business based in Nigeria, they automatically collect VAT from you. You don't even need to worry. The same way you collect your money, government collects it. And so many other sources like that. Then they will promote fiscal equity by mitigating, next slide, the tax system. And that's a good one because if you do business less than 25 million, you are tax exempt in Nigeria. Now, where do we all fit into this grammar I've been speaking? Number one, the new tax system takes effect next year, and it will reduce our tax liability and free up cash that we can use to invest. It will also make more credit available for us because of the LDR, and then there will be more social investment scheme coming up. Even the old ones will still be running. Then the economy is going to be collaborative, and this collaboration will be on increase with business communities coming up like the EES, that's Enterprise Eco Support, and they are also our hosts for today. Please, a round of applause for them. I hope you're enjoying themselves so well so far. Then, now, are you an MSME? That is, are you a medium-sized business, small or a medium? Is micro business small or a medium-sized business? Well, with increase in investment in rail, opportunity of business along the whole rail value chain comes up, like branding, advert, ICT, various products in the rail system. And I think, yes, they started the Ibadan-Lagos rail. I understand it's free for now. So even if you've not been to Ibadan before, this is an opportunity to go and come back free of charge. Then, the same goes for increase in investment in the power sector, especially this Magodo project. How many of us are familiar with it? Where power now for 24/7 power is 47 naira per kilowatt. It sounds high, but the cost of running your average, I better pass my neighbor generator, is actually 100 naira per kilowatt, if you don't know. Then the smallest diesel generator is about 120 naira per kilowatt. So if the government is telling me that I should pay 47 naira per kilowatt, I think it's reasonable. And what happens when there's 24/7 power? Businesses now start running 24/7. And if business runs 24/7, the economy becomes more productive and more money goes round. It's as simple as that. Then in the agri sector, if you are in the agri sector, then you are part of government focus, and you don't sit on just the primary agri alone. That's just farming or husbandry. You should also look at the whole value chain: processing, transport, distributorship, packaging, branding, ICT solutions. IG Hub is doing a lot in that area, providing ICT solutions in agriculture. Then the list is so much. So many things you can do in that agricultural value chain. You need to start looking at business from the area of the entire value chain, no more you alone yourself. And then ICT companies too, you need to up your game and your standards, because government is now also your focus.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ayo. I just found out something that most of our icons are very attentive. How many of us can give a review of the projection? You can review the projection, like summarize the projection. See why property is easily distributed here. We don't mind data. And we keep making business decisions without minding data. Business is not a passion. You need data to make business decisions. That's why many businesses fail in here, because we don't pay attention to the data. I think the slides will be sent to every one of us. So please avail us your email addresses so we can send the slides to you. Thank you very much. Okay, so going forward, we're going to be introducing our icons. Can we give a round of applause for our icons? These are men and women of impact who have impacted the business world. And if you were here when we were introducing the EES, some of these men are the pillars and the reason why we are here today. They have grown businesses. They have not made money and sit on the money. They have made money and released the seeds to grow more businesses. And so that is why they are icons. They are not icons by mouth. They are icons by impact. Can we jam our hands together for our icons? Okay, so we're privileged to have Mr. Ikeja, Non-Executive Director at Main Street MFB, Microfinance Bank. Mr. Opebi is a resourceful professional with vast experience, having served in the board of several local and international companies as executive and non-executive, amongst which are eTransit Limited, Card Technologies Limited,
Flexmore Technologies Limited, Intercontinental Properties Limited, BMSL Group, Blue International MFB, and Intercontinental Bank PLC. Mr. Opebi is also the founder of Nukreationz Systems Limited, operators of Numat, a leading online store in Nigeria. He holds a Master's in Business Administration from Enugu State University, Nigeria. And we will start the nation. Welcome to the KCC. The start the nation, you can do it with. Thank you. Indeed, Mr. Opebi is an icon. So, you know, it's about impacting lives. And Mr. Opebi has single-handedly impacted so many lives. Can we please give a clap? Okay, going forward, we're introducing Mr. Damola Akindolire. Mr. Damola is a building professional with more than a decade experience in the real estate industry. He has vast experience in physical assets management as well as project management. He started off his career as a project supervisor with Maiders Homes before moving on to Headstone Capital as a real estate investment and research analyst. Prior to joining Afomid Development Company, Damola was manager, real estate development in Saunders Development Company, and arm of Sankore Globe Investment, owners of Diamond Securities Limited. He is a member of the Chartered Institute of Builders, CIOB UK, as well as Australian Institute of Builders. Please can we with a standing ovation. Thank you. Case for the adoption of reliable IT infrastructure in small, medium, and large-sized companies across West Africa. With strong analytical and problem-solving skills, she has been able to guide a number of organizations across different industries in discovering and adopting the right IT infrastructure solutions and support for their business. Melanie is currently the Executive Director of Sales and Marketing at Tranta IT Infrastructure Services Limited, using well-designed, managed IT infrastructure. Tranta IT has helped enhance the business of different companies and organizations, including GT Bank, FCMB, FSDH, IBDC, Honeywell Floor Mills, Electra, etc. She is a career woman who believes that women have the natural instinct to nurture and create an environment that they want for themselves. She also believes that women can attain any height they aim to reach by putting in the necessary hard work. Thank you for celebrating our icons. Thank you. The CEO Sales Ruby Academy. Bumi is CEO Sales Ruby Limited Nigeria, foremost revenue leadership company helping organizations drive high value revenue growth, retail channels development, building robust agency networks across the country, while also deploying cutting-edge technology products to drive revenue generation. He is Nigeria's best followed sales coach and consultant with about 20,000 LinkedIn followers. He has had over 15 years B2B and retail sales experience, spanning 4 industries including FMCG, IT, banking, consulting before setting up Sales Ruby. Bumi is also the lead facilitator of West Africa's first revenue leadership academy, the Sales Ruby Academy. The website is there, where courses such as enterprise sales, key accounts management, product development, innovative business leadership, customer success, service excellence are taught by mostly director-level faculty members with hands-on experience. He trains and consults for Nigeria's top brands such as MTN, Ansa PLC, Car 45, Alliance, Weber Bank PLC, Wapi Insurance, Sinfis Limited. Can we with a clap ovation and with a standing ovation also welcome this. This is a real privilege. You can ask them questions. You can take pictures with them if you want to. Thank you very much. So we're going to welcome the MD CEO of Nukreationz Training Solutions as the anchor this section. Can we put our hands together for Mr. Tosin?
We would like us to listen attentively, carefully, take notes, and even write down your questions because you'll be opportunities and you will have the privilege to ask them 1 or 2 questions. And I will go straight to it. Why we have to put this together is because as we prepare to enter the next decade, we prepare for the next decade, we need to understand what worked in the past and what did not work. So in understanding what worked and what did not work, we have brought them together in order for us to determine the future. And that is the essence of this discussion. They were carefully selected for this purpose. And please speak all you have to pick. Thank you very much. I would like to start with Mr. Ikeja. Yeah. Based on your vast business experience and board exposure, sir, what advice will you have for SME and MSME on building structures?
Well, thank you very much. I want to thank the organizers for having me here. And let me go straight to the question. But one thing is that depending on the size of the organization, from day one, you need to have structures. It's even good that I'm having a builder by my right hand. You know that when you don't do, if you have serious error in the main structure of a building, to correct it with any form of artistics or whatever is going to be temporary because it will still show up. And if we also want to go biblical, you know, the fourth point where the issue of structure actually came up was during the time of Moses. And what was advised there is the real situation. If you are an entrepreneur and you don't want to die young, make sure that you have structure. You know what his father-in-law told him was that you just kill yourself. There are certain things that you don't need to, as an entrepreneur, it's not everything that you must look into. But there must be certain things that will go with the way you are thinking. And that takes me to another thing that you need to put in place. When you say structure, things that make structure work are policies. I remember one of my bosses used to say that a good policy will save you 90 memos. And when you are drawing the policy, you ensure that everybody in the organization understands the reason why that policy is in place. That will enable people, right from maybe the cleaner, to think the way you are thinking when they are solving issues. So you need structure. Who is going to do what? As you are growing, you'll be expanding it. I've had opportunity when I joined the bank where I spent 19 years. It was only 2 branches. When I was leaving, it's about 200 branches. So you can see, because you put in a structure, a policy in place today, don't be shy to review that policy tomorrow. The moment you get some other facts that makes the initial policy not to go in line with your vision, and please try as much as possible. People have been talking about ego and things like that. Try as much as possible when you are recruiting people to recruit people who are smarter than you. Some of the time we do make big mistakes in trying to ensure that maybe we are the most brilliant in the room. That will hurt you. We've been told about women being the most difficult thing to manage. That is true. Recruiting smart people is also very problematic. Because they are smart, they will question, they will criticize almost everything. but there are also ways of making use of them. In drafting policy, let's start with them. Why don't you, let me see what you propose for this problem, how do we solve it? As the leader, make sure that you are the one who is actually making the last contribution to a problem. That's the only way you can pick from the heads of your team heads. I've been in meetings whereby it's like a briefing section. When they call meetings, they want to have something, and the leader will talk, and after the leader talks, the meeting ends. Even if it's going to be 15 minutes meeting on a particular issue, let everybody who is going to attend that meeting know about the agenda before the meeting, and challenge everybody to say something. Sometimes somebody who is saying what is rubbish may trigger off another thing. Another thing about SME is, how do you sell your vision? Because you are the owner of the vision. I don't see myself, though should I say circumstances made me to be an entrepreneur now. I don't see myself much as an entrepreneur. Issue of goals is also very important. What is your goal in life? It's good to collaborate, but you can only collaborate with like minds to get success. If you are not thinking about the same thing, let me just share one small story. Some of us could have seen it on social media. They claim that some business school gurus, they are one of these islands around Bahamas and things like that. So they saw a fisherman around 4:30 or something. He was under a shed, drinking and just enjoying himself. And they asked him, "What are you doing? Are you not fishing today?" He said, I've gone there in the morning and I've gotten enough fish. And they said, so what are you doing? He said, I'm enjoying myself. So why don't you get a bigger trawler, get so much fish, get a cold store? And he said, what next? He said, then you can then sell more, make more money, go all over the world. He said, and then what next? At the end of the day, he said that he will retire, and then he can come to the village and relax. He said, is that not what I'm doing at the moment? So that is some goal and objective. That I want a quiet life, and at the end of the day, I come down to the village and all that. So it's good for us to be very clear about our goal. When we've met those goals, of course, new ones will come. At this stage now, I think one of my, should I say challenge, which is the challenge of most of us, I am still talking about food. When it gets to school fees, you will notice that there's a difference between because some of the school fees that some people are paying in primary school, that's what some of us use throughout our education. And I picked that one at a point in time to be, yes, the highest goal. But later in life, I realized that I've broken them down into bits. There is a compulsory part of it. I've passed through that one. There is a mandatory. I passed through that one. I'm now at the stage of optional. If any of my children where they are now wants to say they want to still read, it's optional for me because I've given them all the basic ones. And the way I look at it is that if I pay fees up to your first degree, every other one is optional. Because we also need, just as we are doing it in our business, our children must know how to earn money and the value of money. Because most of the things we are trying to do, SME and things like that,
God will make us a big success. Now, when you are successful, what's going to happen to your children? We still have maybe a relation of Guinness still running Guinness at the moment, but how many other companies can you count in that way? In Nigeria, we think there are quite a number of companies that by the time it gets to the second generation, everything is ruined. And it's because sometimes we over-pamper the children. It doesn't mean that they shouldn't have a good life, but let them know the value. What does it take to do that? The same thing with your employees. Don't run them as if they are slaves. I believe in easy entry, easy exit. And I also believe in when you are going, we part as friends. But the only thing is that my prayer is that there is nobody that I will work with that when he's leaving, he will leave the same way he came. If you've impacted something, you've created a relationship, you've created an ambassador. Later in life, you don't know when these people are going to be and how they will help you. Let me just talk on that so that others can also.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah, my next question is for Mr. Your track record as a woman technologist is highly impeccable. Yeah. Let's applaud her for that. Can you please tell us what inspired you to go into IT infrastructure?
Thank you very much for that question. First of all, I just want to say praise the Lord. I'll try and express how I feel. I'm so blessed that at some point in my life, I realized that everything I wanted ever, I always get it. I don't want ridiculous things, but I try to want things that are along my path in life and that will help me feel fulfilled and achieve a purpose. It's so funny that at some point when I was growing up, and a little bit now, it's a contradiction, you'll understand soon. I really didn't like IT that much. I hated Excel, although I studied maths and physics in A-levels, thanks to my father who asked me very strongly to take those subjects, and I'm so grateful because it's really helped me. Maths and physics, I would say, is the basis of IT. So I had actually studied IT without realizing. I also did sciences. But I'm not a gadget person. So I thought IT wasn't for me because of all the really techie aspect of it. And I'm not a techie. But however, what pulled me in was the ability of IT to solve problems. And that's one of the major reasons I decided to go into IT. Apart from the fact that it is my family business, and I do work for my father, who is the CEO of Trans IT. Now, having made that statement, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my upbringing. And the reason I'm talking about upbringing is because it's so important. In my family, the girls were not raised as girls. I'm sure a lot of us can relate when I say my father behaves like an army general. We were allowed, let me put it like that, we were allowed to handle any task that came up, and we were challenged to do it. When my understanding had matured enough to understand that the opportunity, just like we were all presented with this opportunity today to be here. We understood that it would be valuable, we would be able to extract value from it because we believed in the vision of either Mr. Tosin or whoever we had that business relationship with in the first place that invited us. IT is becoming the bedrock of business and a facilitator for expansion. Just to put it generally, there isn't a single industry that isn't using IT today. And the funny thing is that the complicated aspect of IT is getting more simple. So IT is returning back to a basic form in which it's not a complex, expensive investment to make in your company. For example, IoT. IoT is making IT more affordable. What have I just pointed out? IT evolves, as does any industry. Happens to be opportune to be part of a group that not only does IT, also does construction, does networks, hospitality, and even healthcare services. I'd say that my passion for IT now, as a woman in tech, has been driven by these challenges I'm meant to be talking about. But I'm one person that generally, I don't like to sit in a problem for long. And that's what I admire about most people in tech. They're problem solvers. They're logical. Logical thinking helps business. I like to say the IT industry is almost without excessive sentiment, which I like. For the most part, it's not too political. I feel that, you can imagine, I dress like this, very feminine, and really. But officially, I joined in 2017. And as a woman, we look at I won't call them challenges, but the things that we have to do because we are what we are. I think I need to learn empathy, as we mentioned earlier on, because I have this very militaristic attitude where I don't feel people should cry over spilled milk and all those other kind of statements where you should just get on with it, do what you can. So a shout out to all the mothers in the room. It's difficult sometimes to be passionate in business and in family and devote all the time that you want to on both sides. And a shout out to all the fathers because they have that same challenge. I don't actually feel challenged as a female. I feel welcomed. I feel I have all the opportunities. In my bio, it may have seemed like I was a feminist. I really am not. I am not at all. But I just believe that things are equal. And something I've always believed in, as you think, so shall you be. And I'm going to prophesy tonight that even though I don't have my clients here, my clients are here, but perhaps we haven't started doing business yet. So just to wrap it up, I was presented with an opportunity. I saw the light. It happened to be the right time in my life to do it. I love to work with my father. He's my mentor. And I didn't invite him here today because I want him to rest. He works too hard. He works more than me. but I just believe in, I could present my industry as the best and IT is all that, but really every industry has its opportunities, it has its money, has its profit, it has its challenges, and it's about growing wherever you are and being able to be part of somebody else's journey. And I think a lot of that is based on your approach, your perseverance, and most importantly, your personality. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's give it up. Okay, let's go to this side of the stage. Mr. Dembola, based on research, there's a relationship between customer satisfaction and revenue generation. We would like you to throw more light on this. And we also discovered that it's difficult for SMEs and MSMEs to penetrate the multinationals and the big companies. So, how can we go about it? How can they penetrate? How can they go in line with customer satisfaction and revenue generation?
Hey, good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Atusin, for putting this together. If I've not learned anything this night, I've learned at least one thing. And that's coming from Mr. Olangigan. And he said, as a leader, be the last to make any input into a healthy conversation. Now that's it, nuggets. Thank you very much, sir. Be the last to make any input into, and as leaders, we all have to learn this. Sometimes we want to be the loudest in the room, and that's natural because you have a lot of stuff in your head. But trust me, the combined intellect and wisdom of your team is not more than your own individual brilliance. Then you are not a leader, you are failed in your selection of those people. So coming to the issue of revenue generation and how customer satisfaction affects your ability to generate revenue. It's important that we understand that you can do business in two ways, the hard way or the easy way. You can go after customers the hard way, looking for them all over Lagos, sweating in your tie and your suit. And there are many CEOs like that, really, but somebody says CEOs of nothing. I don't want to say CEOs of nothing, but again, if you do not have customers, I don't exactly think that you are in business. Is it possible to be in business and not have customers? Yes. So you can go about it the hard way, looking for people all around to buy from you, and you can go about it the easy way, getting people who are telling others day to day that they need to do business with you. How many people have customers like that? Who in your absence are going to tell people that there are these guys, you need to do business with them? If there's any printing company you want to do printing, they're the ones who tell you that, who tell those guys that want to do those business and say, see, you need to call this person. In fact, they take their phone and then they call them for what makes people to get to that level of interest? What takes customers from the level where they're just vendors, where they're just doing business with you, to the point where they are now seeing you, they think that they have a vested interest in your own company. As advocates, it is satisfaction. It is satisfaction. If you do not satisfy a customer, there is no way they will come back, much less go and sell you to other people who might be interested in your wares. Talking about going to go and get customers, companies that are big. One thing that we need to understand is that big companies have reputation issues that they are managing. So they will not come and do business with a small company except the level of recommendation is high. I remember trying several times to break into to get to do business with AXA Mansard, and it was difficult, right? Even getting to meet decision makers were a little difficult. But guess what? Just a recommendation, and we were inside the same room discussing terms and conditions in less than 2 weeks. that can only happen because somebody has recommended you. But if you're waiting to go meet MTN, for example, as a small business, it's good to pursue after big businesses. But first and foremost, serve the small businesses right, and serve them in a way that they can recommend you to bigger clients. And that's the path to growth. Many small businesses have not served their immediate constituency very right, and they are looking for bigger clients. So my path, not to take so much of our time, is to say that how are you serving the customers that you have right now? Are you doing it in an exceptional way? So cap it up. I want to tell us that it's also important that we understand what the customers are also looking for. So many times we make the assumption that we know what the customers are looking for. And quite frankly, we are just assuming for the customer. Right? We're assuming for the customer. We actually do not know what they want. It is important for us to be humble enough to ask people, have we served you right? So 2019 has passed. Many customers served. Can we go back to them and ask, is there something we could have done differently in 2019? So it presents a very, very big opportunity for you going into 2020 to serve them better. But you want to get to the customers ultimately to the level where every year they cannot put their plans together without getting to talk to you. And that's the ultimate, that should be the ultimate goal for your business.
Thank you very much. Now, I'll quickly go to Mr. Damola. You established yourself in the real estate industry as a go-to professional. Can you tell us the pitfalls to avoid in the real estate industry and the opportunities in this industry? Also, what will you consider critical to the success of businesses in looking at the Nigerian environment? Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Again, I think like other speakers, it's a great privilege to be here. Something struck me when Emily was speaking. He said we want to see the Fortune 500 of Africa coming out from this place. And I think it's possible. It's a very bold vision. And being part of that establishment is something I consider a great privilege. Okay? So I'll start with the last question. The most important resource in business, again, is your human capital. You know, the people that run business with you. They are the ones that make the engine run. They are the most expensive. At the same time, you must find ways to incentivize them so that they can take the long haul with you. One of the learnings I always encourage businesses to do is beyond the salary that you give to your staff, what are the long-term plans that you put in place to continue to earn and justify their reality? You need to have that as a plan. And where I am, I spearheaded something called the employee share scheme. And what the employee share scheme was all about was we were able to convince the directors to set aside a small percentage and have that given to staff as consideration. And that way, what I can tell you is that year on year, we've been able to retain more than 90% of our staffs for the last decade and a half. So we've retained 95% of the people. We started the business with 17 people. Till today, 10 of them still work with the company. So when you don't have that high rate of attrition, the likely chances that the business will prosper will be much higher. The second thing is to establish standards and process. You know, that's the hard work most entrepreneurs don't like to do. You know, not being able to establish standards is a big problem because you leave the process of the business to use discretion to execute the mandates that you're trying to achieve. And one of the things that I had to do where I am was, we said we wanted to become ISO certified within a certain period. And we wanted to become ISO of the latest standards, which is the 2015 standard. And we didn't want to get certified by any firm. We wanted to be certified to a certain standard. We said we wanted to be certified to the UCA standard, that's the UK Accreditation Society standard. So we started that journey and it looked like a Herculean task because everybody felt, I think you guys are taking too much on yourself. But the truth is that that is the only thing that will guarantee the transfer of knowledge, transfer of value across several generations. So when you set standards and processes, you're actually preserving value. In terms of real estate, it's a very interesting industry. Our industry has been in recession for the last 15 quarters. It's only come out once. That's 15 quarters would be roughly 3.5 years now. So it's not the most attractive industry at the moment. So I don't feel very privileged sitting here, compared to other people on the panel. So, but again, when one of the speakers was talking, Mr. Coinbox, MD of Coinbox, he said something. He said, when the business is going through a downturn, it's exactly when the opportunities arise. So there are many pitfalls. One of them is general assumption that there will always be customers that will buy. When you go into a business, open shop, and be sure that people will come and buy your product or buy your assets. It's a very general assumption because what you are building may not meet their requirements. So that's why you have a lot of glittered houses in Ikeja, because a lot of those assets do not meet the pockets and the requirements of people who can afford to buy them. So that's one thing you need to think about. You need to be sure of what does your customer want. The second thing is you need to also be very careful with your budget. Our industry is again, it could be for many reasons. But when you have a budget to say, I want to execute this project with 1 naira, and when you get on the project, you end up ending up at 1.5 naira. From that point, you've already eroded the profits and the expectations of your business right away. So you need to be very thorough with your budget. You need to spend enough time looking through how the team has come up with the numbers that they will execute the projects with. So, without not to spend too much time, I think if you're able to identify those 2 issues critically, the rest of them is a walk in the park. The truth is, we all say real estate, housing, 17 million housing deficit. That's a huge opportunity. And 17 million was 10 years ago. That was the statistics that we had. Today, it's much more than that. And how does housing affect you? It's a big problem, and I'll tell you why it's a big problem. When you look at the shanties you see around you, they are products of lack of affordable housing. That's the reality. And again, Lagos welcomes 500 people every hour today. By the year 2030, Lagos will be home to 40 million people, which means 10,000 people will be coming to Lagos every day. That's the truth. So think about the environment you have today, and think about the environment you will see in 2030. So that gives you an idea of what we're going to be dealing with, in another 10, 20 years from now. So it's very important that it's an industry that needs good players. It's an industry that needs a lot of players to start with. And you can start with the most basic, which is just land transactions, and then you can evolve and begin to do housing developments. But the truth is, housing concerns all of us, and it is a requirement for, I say it's a social investment that we must look at, because the impact cuts across different industries. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I have personal interest in property, though I'm into tech. And is it possible for us to see you maybe after this meeting, as a 3-minute talk, or get your details? But I have something I think would help your industry as per tech to make it better. So I don't know if you can.
Okay, before we start, these are one of excellence present to Mr. Emakume.
I want to appreciate you for all the work that you've been doing. And this is just a token of the appreciation. Our prayer is that in your lifetime and in good health, you reap from all the seed that you are sowing. In Jesus' name.
He's also our EES mentor. At the time when he had to take his session, he had to be speaking to the phone to talk, to deliver his lecture. When you have to use water to speak to deliver your lecture for more than 1 hour. So let's appreciate him.
Sam.
He has taught us on the road so many times.
Well, please help me to congratulate Mr. Edward Senate for the work that he's been doing. This is just a topic, and I think I was at the Lekki Business Fellowship when you did your presentation. This is your season of sowing, just like the other person, and in good health, with strength, you will reap from all this labor.
This person is our company secretary, is our HR manager, is our legal advisor, and is also a mentor of the year, Mr. Sheraton-Opebi.
Well, it's my pleasure to present this award on behalf of Enterprise Ecosystem Support. Well, one thing I've observed is that it looks as if dynamite, they normally come in small packages. So congratulations. God bless you.
This is my #1 collaborator, and we've been collaborating, and that's the best collaboration you can ever have, actually. And that collaboration has paid off.
Well, on behalf of the group, I make by extension, I'm also on the board of Nukreationz. I also want to appreciate well, we want to thank you for tolerating him. Because we know the way he moves, and we work closely with him. And we pray that your home will be blessed. Your children will turn out far, far better than your imagination. And in your job too, you will be recognized, you will be favored.
This is very special to us. Is the art of our organization. He overworks himself a lot. Everybody's on his neck. Fortunately, today is also his birthday. And that is our operations manager, Mr. Timothy. Please join me to sing another song for him. Yes, Timothy, please come to the front. Let's appreciate you. That's our operations manager. We call him cool. Please help me celebrating. 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 He's supposed to be somewhere today. He was at work. He's been at work. He slept at work days before us today. Just to get things done. Let me appreciate him. Help me appreciate him. Help me appreciate him. Thank you so much.
The Enterprise Ecosystem Support and the parent company, Nukreationz Business Solutions Limited. I want to say a very big thank you for everyone that took out time to attend this maiden edition of Customers Reward Dinner. Thank you so much. You defy all the traffic in Lagos, everything you set out, everything just to be here. We don't take your time for granted. We really appreciate it. From our icons to our mentors, all these members, all our invited guests, our customers, and our customers, everyone that come here tonight, we say a very big thank you to you. And we're wishing you a very prosperous 2020. And we look forward to seeing you also in 2020. It will be bigger and better than this. And as you go back to your various home tonight, safe journey. Wish to see you again soon. Thank you so much. A round of applause for ourselves. Thank you so much for coming.